first chat of the day. Massive win for him. Arguably the highest profile win of his career so far. It was a huge win against a veteran of the game, Kevin Holland. We're talking to proper Mike Malott, kind enough to join us on this Monday afternoon. There he is. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Okay. Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you feeling?
Feeling great, man. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, just I feel like my face looks more banged up than I am,
Okay.
but not felt great in that one.
What happened to the nose?
He punched me in it.
Okay. No, I get that. No, but it looks like a
No,
cut. Is it a cut or something?
Yeah, dude, it was a weird one. We got backstage and everyone, I hadn't seen it yet, but everyone was commenting on it. They're like, dude, that's a weird cut on your face. It kind of looks like I had like a hoop nose ring that got ripped out. Like my nose split. So I've got 5 stitches in my nose, 1 in my septum, and then 4 on the outside of the nose.
Oh wow, 1 inside. Your video just froze on us here real quickly. So I'm just seeing you like kind of talk about your nose, but you can still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Sorry about that if I'm freezing.
Okay. Wait, maybe you're back? What's going on here?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but for some reason the picture is frozen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on the Wi-Fi here, but I'm kind of I'm in Pemberton, kind of out in the mountains. So
where's that? Is that in BC?
Great. Yeah, we're about 30 minutes from Whistler.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice. My in-laws, my aunt and uncle-in-law have a spot out here, so we just decided to take a little trip out here afterwards with my in-laws and my wife.
Okay. Well, it's still a little bit choppy, but we'll fight through it. Maybe we can just graphic him and let people know that he's speaking, and hopefully it will come back. What did you think of the fight? Because obviously, I'll be straight up with you, Mike. I thought you won that fight if you're just watching the fight, right? But I did have issues with Dan Mergliotta. I thought he did not ref correctly as far as the shots, below the belt are concerned, which I don't think, as I said, I don't think that you are a dirty fighter. I don't think that they were malicious. I just don't think he handled it, and I thought it was an awful night for him considering what happened in the Kyle Nelson fight. Now that you've had some time to rewatch, how do you feel about how that was handled?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough night for him. I think, the stuff that happened earlier in the night's probably playing in his head while that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely wasn't the groin shot that it was acted out to be. Like there might have been a brushing of the cup, but I mostly hit him in the like belt line hip area. Like I was a little bit frustrated with it, especially afterwards. Like it wasn't a bad groin shot. I think he really wanted a point deducted, and I think there's a little bit of embellishment there. But yeah, so I was a little bit frustrated with that because I feel like that's kind of taken away from the performance a lot of the way, in a lot of the case, because I'm really happy with my performance otherwise, especially rounds 2 and 3, biggest win of my career. And I feel like a lot of people are just talking about kind of groin shots, but it is what it is.
Okay, I very much appreciate and respect that because I did think it was the best performance of your career and also the highest profile fight of your career as well. And so in the moment, did you feel that regarding the groin shots, or did you go back and watch it and be like, yeah, this confirms what I thought, this didn't hit the way maybe it was perceived?
Well, I told Dan that in the octagon. I said, my knee hit his hip. I think what brushed his groin was my shin. I think my shin kind of brushed his cup, but like the impact wasn't to the cup. My knee hit his belt line, like it hit his hip. It was a little lower than I meant it to. But you go back and watch it, and like I'm hitting him right on the belt line. Like I'm not kneeing his cup. Again, there might have been a brush from my shin as my knee landed. Like it might have moved his cup over, which might not have felt nice. But I'm kind of frustrated because like we've all been, as fighters, hitting the groin hard in the practice room and like considerably harder than that, and moved on with it and had like full sparring sessions and stuff. And just, I think there was embellishment during the groin shot to try and draw a point out. And I think there was embellishment afterwards as a little bit of a like the fight slipping away and not going well. All right, I'm going to use this as a bit of an excuse.
Have you seen his tweets afterwards? Because he's still talking like he's in a lot of pain.
Man, yeah, no, I haven't. If he is, man, I mean, I apologize multiple times. I obviously I'm not a dirty fighter. I've never done anything dirty in my career. That's not what I do. So that's, unfortunate. I hope he's okay, man. Like, that's too bad.
Did he say anything to you after the fight? I saw you guys kind of communicating very briefly.
Kind of just backstage. Yeah, he was like, I don't know. We kind of communicated. I was like, hey, man, sorry for the groin shots. Hope you're all right. He's like, that was cheap, man. That was cheap. I'm like, dude, do you think I'm trying to kick
Right.
you in the groin? Like, that's not what I came here to do. And then I kind of said the same thing backstage. They were kind of interviewing me with the UFC Canada, following me with the camera. And he kind of said something similar. I was like, all right, man, I've tried to apologize a couple times. We're in there fighting, man. Stuff happens. What do you want me to do, man? Sorry. Like, I'm not a dirty fighter. I'm not out there trying to do anything greasy. Like, I just wanted to go out there and have a good performance and try to knee you in the body.
Was it contentious?
Sorry?
Was it contentious in the back with him?
It wasn't like, he just was like, yeah, I can't respect you. Basically, I'm like, all right, man, whatever. Like, there was no, like, nothing standoffish really. I was just like, okay, like, I respect you. You're one of the best guys in the sport. You're a vet. Like, I was really excited to get this fight because it's a guy, like, this seemed like the first fight in my UFC career where if you're even like a remotely casual UFC fan, you know the name Kevin Holland. So that was like an exciting thing for me, was I'm finally fighting like a UFC staple. The only thing that would have compared to that in my career so far was Mickey Gall. But beyond that, I've fought a lot of tough guys, but they're not high profile names. So that was really exciting for me, getting to fight like somebody that everybody knows. Like, I told my dad that I was fighting Kevin Holland, a few weeks out. He's like, you get any update for Vancouver? And I'm like, oh yeah, I got an opponent. He's like kind of cooking something. I was at their house, kind of cooking something. He's like, oh cool. What who do you have? Who do you have? And I was like, Kevin Holland. And he just like goes, Kevin Holland. Oh, he's really good. Like, yeah, no, he's really good, man. This is a solid opponent. This is a big step up and great opportunity.
Did you feel some sort of way? Were you bothered by the talk going into the fight from him saying like, I don't know who he is, or I thought it was Jake Matthews? Like, did you think that was just games on his part, or did you feel disrespected by that at all from him?
No, not at all. You've got to expect when you go into a fight with Kevin Holland, he's going to try to say some stuff that is either going to get in your head or it's just going to be like weird, random stuff too. Like, not everything that he says is negative. Like the trash talk that I expected in the fight, he barely said anything in the fight, but the things that he said were more like quirky and funny than like trash talking. Like, they weren't rude or mean or anything. It was just kind of like funny things that he observed in the fight.
Like what?
When I took him down in the third, I ended up double legging him and taking him down and getting on top. And we kind of got into a scramble and I ended up in close guard. And he like overhooked my arm and kind of grabs me. He goes, damn, that was like a GSP move right there. I just kind of giggled to myself.
Hey, that's a great compliment.
It was, yeah. Yeah, it was nice.
Did you think you almost had him with the arm triangle?
Oh man, yeah. I in hindsight, I should have taken my time with it and adjusted it a little bit more. It was like 95% of the way there, and I'm like, there's 30 seconds left. Squeeze, and that's, I should have taken a little more time to adjust, especially against, a veteran who's tough to put away. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu himself, and he's squirmy and he's been choked, but you have to just about put the guy unconscious before he taps, right? He's not just looking for a way out. So, yeah, I should have adjusted a little bit tighter. I got a little bit excited. I was like, is this it? Am I about to choke him? Then he rolled out and I'm like, okay, well, just back to winning the fight.
Are you going to be the first welterweight Canadian since Roy McDonald to be ranked in the UFC?
I think so. Somebody said that a few days ago, and that makes sense. I'm not sure who else it would be.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, it seems like this win gets you into the rankings. This is a big deal.
Thank you.
We used to rule the welterweight division. We being the Canadians used to rule. So it's nice to finally have that flag back in there.
It feels great, man. Both as like a personal goal and as representing our country, man. It's cool to get that number. I don't have it technically yet, but tomorrow morning, I'm viewing tomorrow morning like Christmas morning, dude. I'm excited to wake up and check my phone and see a number beside my name.
Are you proud of the performance?
Yeah, yeah. I pride myself on being a finisher, but you have to also manage expectations, right? I got a little. I let my ego in the past disrupt what was otherwise a solid performance against Neil Magny. And I wanted to check that going into this fight and just recognize, like, hey, man, if you're unable to put this guy away, that's okay. If the finish comes, great. Almost had it a couple of times. That knee in the second round was very promising, and he has a chin on him, dude. I bounced his head off my knee like a basketball, and he just like stared at me like it was an inconvenience. So that was hilarious. But didn't let that disrupt me. And then same with the choke. I thought there was a good possibility I could have finished that choke. And in hindsight, had I tightened it up a little bit more and taken my time, we could have been talking about a third round submission, which would have been sweet. But, getting those 15 minutes in there against one of the most decorated veterans in the sport right now, and one of the like biggest names out there, I'm really proud of that performance, especially because you look at my record, and I have 11 finishes, right? And all of them are within the first half of the fight. So that would lead a lot of people to think that I'm an early style fighter, or like that I do better early in fights. And then to have a fight where the first round didn't go as smoothly as I would have liked, and it was just a weird, wonky round with the long break in the middle. I might have, I was probably down the first, and then having to make the adjustments and fight better in the second, and then fight even better in the third. I was really proud of that for like long-term growth and development.
You're now 3 fights removed from the Magny fight. Do you feel like it's completely out of your psyche, out of your system? You don't think about it anymore?
No, I don't know if it'll ever be completely out of the system, right? You always want to check back to almost like grounding yourself of like, all right, what can I do to continue to improve from there? And I've found things each camp since that fight that I've been able to improve on. And the last 3 fights, I felt great, man. Felt really good. Got a lot more experience, right? Going into that fight, I had in 4 fights, including Contender Series, I had less than 15 minutes of total octagon time. Whereas now, since that fight, I've had 2 fights go the distance and then a second round fight. So, whatever, 36 minutes basically in the octagon. So way more time added to my UFC career.
So a couple of weeks ago, we had John Wood, the head coach of Syndicate MMA in Las Vegas, on, and we talked to him about the challenges of being in Khalil Rountree's corner, seeing him lose the way in which he did, and then having to turn around right away and being in Merab's corner. That's a coach. You had to go in there moments after seeing a good friend of yours suffer a tough loss, Jasmine Jasdavicius. How did that affect you? How did you obviously saw it, I would imagine, in the back. How did you compartmentalize that and not let it affect your performance?
Well, not even just me, man. Like that, of course, can affect me. And I just, I saw her get dropped in and the follow-up punches, and I didn't even mean to. I just was like, grabbed my chest and like, oh shit, man, that hurts. And just, as upsetting as that was, my kind of one of my first thoughts was our shared corner man, Chris Prickett, our wrestling coach, is her fiance. And that was like one of the first things that ran through my mind. Is like, dude, how hard is this going to be on him? So I just turned to our corners and I'm like, hey, when Prickett gets back here, let's give him a hug, tell him we love him, and then reset. And, so for me to have to reset, of course, is one thing, but I was unbelievably impressed with how he was able to reset, because that's his woman, man. That's his fiance. Like, she just got hurt. And he now has to come back. And he and I have been great friends for 13 years and training together for years and everything. So I know I mean a lot to him. But man, that's his fiance, dude. Like, that's a heartbreaking moment. And the way that he just immediately came back, hugged us, and I said to him, I was like, man, I love you. We'll talk about that after the fight, but I'm going to stay focused. And he's like, yeah, of course. And then he's like, what do you need for wrestling? And we just did some like takedown defense, and he was right back into coaching mode.
Wow.
There was no weird energy. After walking any kind of hug, the other coaches on our process, we got into some wrestling exchanges. We warmed up, we walked out. His energy was great the whole time we fought. He walked back with me. I started getting stiff. He's like, all right, I'm going to go be with Jazz. Like, of course, but I couldn't remembering that before my fight, I couldn't believe how focused he was. It was extremely impressive.
Yeah, wow, I can't even imagine that. I was going to ask you how he was. You just explained that. Were you able to block it out?
Yeah, yeah. It almost sounds like a lack of compassion in a way, but yeah, it was
No.
something like I completely blocked out to the point where almost again on the table getting my stitches, he's like, okay, I'm going to go be with Jazz. And it was like almost remembering that that happened because I was so focused on what was in front of me that I, in the moment, kind of forgot about everything that happened that night. Just you're so laser focused, right? I have to be completely in the moment and completely focused on what's going on. So, yeah, I mean, of course it's upsetting. Like I stopped by Jazz's room, Jazz and Prickett's room yesterday morning and just gave her a hug and chatted with her. It's like, hey man, I know what you're going through. This sucks. Like we kind of had the opposite thing happen in UFC Toronto where she had a spectacular performance and I fumbled at the finish line type thing and she got to have that great feeling and I, was suffering and, we've had that kind of unfortunately had that switch now where it's like I'm, getting that high after the fight and feeling great and she's obviously bummed. And I was like, look, there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to take the sting away. This is going to sting for a while. It was a flash. It happens in this sport. You're one big win away from being right back where you are. And you just go out there and beat that next girl's ass and everyone's going to forget about this just because it was such a like get caught type thing. It's not like she got beat up for 9 or 14 minutes and then got TKO'd or something. It was like, you got caught, man. 4-ounce gloves. That stuff happens sometimes when you're walking in, right? It's not ideal, but I don't think it defines you as a fighter and is a real massive indication of your potential whatsoever. I think the indications of her potential are the dominant grappling performances she's put on in the last several fights and the dog that she brings out where she walks girls down and smacks them a bunch of times and then takes them down and beats them and breaks them and chokes them. Like, I think that is much more accurate indication of the future that you have in the sport.
That's 5 in a row now for you in Canada. Do you like the spot of being, Captain Canada, or are you jonesing to get out there a little bit?
I'd fight the rest of my career in Canada if they gave me the options.
Okay.
I love it. And, they seem to want to be coming to Canada 2 or 3 times a year. That's perfect. If for some reason there's going to be a long stretch where we're not in Canada or, something doesn't line up and I can't get a fight for one of those fights and they want me to fight somewhere else, then of course I'll fight where the UFC tells me to go. But they need, kind of bigger names in Canada anyway. So if I can keep that slot for, kind of co-main or main or featured fighter on pay-per-views, then yeah, keep me coming, man. I love fighting in Canada. Every time we fight in Canada, it feels like this massive celebration, man. It feels a lot more than just, being another guy on a card, fighting on, in some other country where that's always great. Of course, fighting in the UFC is my goal, right? Like that's been the dream, but getting to do it in Canada just feels like such a bigger celebration, right?
If you get that ranking, as I think you should, have you started to think about who makes sense next? Now you're in there with the big dogs, so to speak. Not to say that you weren't before, but now it's an interesting time in your career. Who makes sense next?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting matchups at welterweight. I think it's a little early to say. Um, my hesitation with calling guys out in a lot of ways is the matches I would have asked for in the past were less significant than the ones that I've gotten. Like I didn't think when I fought Magny that I was going to be getting a ranked guy or Magny. I thought I was going to have one more. And then they gave me Magny. Same with this one. I was like, man, wouldn't it be great if they gave me a ranked guy? But I think they're probably going to give me one more tough fight outside the rankings, like me and somebody else who's getting close to the rankings. And then the winner gets a shot in the rankings. So I'm almost like, look, you guys are giving me these unreal matchups, like, either tough fights or big opportunities, depending on how you view them. But like, I'll just let those guys keep keep running, keep telling me what to do because so far it's going great.
And by the way, based on my calculations, your brother Jeff has now played in 19 NHL games. If you count everything this year and then last year, and then I think one with the Jets. You haven't been to one yet? We got to figure this out.
That's the next thing we're doing here. Yeah. So unfortunately, they're on the road for the next 2 weeks, but they're home for a week and then they're back on the road. But in Canada, they've got Montreal, they've got Toronto, they've got Ottawa. So at the very least, I'm looking to go to Toronto, maybe Montreal or Ottawa as well to catch him in a couple of games because I will be seeing this kid in an NHL game before we're back in camp and I have to focus.
Loved seeing him show up wearing your shirt to the game on Saturday. There he is. So amazing, man. Your parents must be so proud. Pretty incredible to see that support from your bro.
It's awesome, man. We get to be there for one another throughout our careers. Like he wears my shirt to his games when I fight, which is super cool. He got to be, he was basically octagon side last time I fought. And I didn't know that. I thought he was sitting with my parents, and his friend plays for the Montreal Canadiens, and he got hooked up with some basically cage side seats because of that in Montreal last time. So I was in the octagon kind of pacing, and I'm pretty much always focused obviously on what's going on in the octagon. But sometimes you notice something outside the octagon. And as I was pacing, I kind of looked up and saw that exact t-shirt, the big red propper across the chest. And I just kind of glanced up at the face and it was Jeff. And I'm like, no way. And just kind of gave him like a, let's go, and pointed at him. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's refocus. Like it just kind of gave me a little more fuel. I'm like, all right, hell yeah, my brother's right there. And then had that great performance against Chuck Buffalo, knocked him out, and then ran up onto the cage and jumped and looked and found my brother and pointed at him like, yeah, let's go, man. Like hadn't seen him since he had that run in the NHL last season. And so it was like the first time I saw him in person since his, making it on the Kings and then me having the UFC fight. So it was another really cool moment for the both of us.
Amazing. Great stuff, man. Well done. Way to represent the true North strong and free. Let's hope that the Jays get it done tonight as well. And more good vibes for Canada, and that you get that ranking and get a big fight next. Appreciate the time as always, Mike. Thank you and congrats.
Thanks a lot, Ariel. Thanks for having me on.
There he is, proper Mike Malott with a huge win on Saturday over Kevin Holland. The performance was fantastic. Say what you want about the refereeing, but that should take nothing away from the performance. A big win over a veteran.